Well, I think there are a couple of reasons to that. I think the first and most important reason is that the President of the United States doesn't have strong policy preferences in a whole variety of areas, including Iran. And so, without clear guidance from the top about what the fundamental objectives and priorities are, I think it's very difficult for the machine, the bureaucracy, to devise and agree on a strategy. I think the second problem is that there is one very clear priority for the United States as regards Iran, and that is to continue to make sure that they do not have a nuclear weapons program. The problem for this administration is that that was the fundamental achievement of the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action and of the Obama administration. This administration, this president, has run in criticism of its predecessor and of that agreement in particular. And so trying to come up with a strategy that at the same time meets the absolute necessary core objective of the United States national security as regards the nuclear program, while at the same time rejects the achievements of its predecessor, it just doesn't fit together. And what they've done so far essentially is just to ignore that contradiction by not devising what I would consider to be a real strategy. Well, I think it does, because if the administration were to propose a real strategy that set priorities, it would be possible for Congress, it would be possible for European allies and partners to find ways to meet some of the concerns and the objectives and objections of the Trump administration and put together an entire package of policies toward Iran that would protect the JCPOA while also addressing other concerns about Iran's policies. So, for example, ballistic missiles, support for Hezbollah and other problematic regional actors. So long as there's just sort of a vague sense of concern and hostility and not a real strategy with priorities and objectives, it's very, very difficult for those other stakeholders, other actors, to find a way to meet the administration's priorities and then move on. I think it's very unlikely that the U.S. is going to seek a military confrontation with Iran. I think that one aspect of this administration's policy writ large, this president's kind of predilections writ large, is that he is seeking to avoid unnecessary foreign entanglements, which is in general a good thing. I think that the problem here is more the danger of accident, that we're cutting off the channels of communication with Iran that might allow a potential conflict from being diffused. So, for example, very famously, on the day that we finished the implementation of the JCPOA, a small Navy vessel wandered accidentally into Iranian territorial waters, and the sailors were briefly held by the Iranian military. Because we had channels of communication open between Washington and Tehran, we were able to very, very quickly and peacefully resolve that situation. Those channels are closing, those somewhat trusting relationships are fraying, and without that, I think the risk that in some conflict in Iraq, some conflict in the Gulf might spin out of control and lead to an entirely unnecessary and I think unwanted confrontation.